In this video, we are going to learn how to create tables and add primary key and foreign key constraints so that when you are inserting data, you can restrict some data, you can enforce some data integrities. So we are going to start by creating, you know that when you are creating the database, the first object to be created is the database itself. So we are going to create the database itself, and that is the syntax for creating a database is very simple. It is create database, then you bring the name of the database. So in this tutorial, we're going to use try db, that is try database. After that, I execute it to create my database. So you see it is running. Now my database is created successfully. After creating this first object, that is the database itself, you need to populate it with tables so that you will get a space to hold your data that you want to store with the database. So we are going to go forward and create our tables. The first table we are going to create is the customer table. So we go ahead by saying create table, and I would love to name my table tbl underscore customer. Then I open and close a bracket, and within the bracket I then list my various columns that I need in that table. So my first column will be the customer ID. So I say customer underscore ID, then I give it a data type. So I say the data type for this customer, for this column is integer. Now I'm going to use this as the primary key. So I continue by adding the primary key constraint, that is primary key. Automatically, when you make a column a primary key, you enforce it not to accept null values. So you don't need to add the not null syntax to it. So I come to the next line and I say customer name, then I give it a data type, let's say varchar, and then I give it a size, let's say 40, and then not null. I come to my next column and let's say I will need the customer's phone, the customer underscore phone number. I can simply make it phone, and I say that one too is integer, and I write not null. And the last column that I will need is the customer mail or the customer email. And then since it is a combination of alphabets and numerals, I will choose to use the varchar data type. I give it a size, and then I say it should not accept null values. Now when you write the first column, last column, you don't bring the comma sign. When you bring the comma sign, it indicates that there is another column coming. So these are our columns that we want to use. Now let's go ahead and create the second table, that is create table tbl underscore order. So this is for the order data. So I specify my columns. I say order ID, then I give it integer, and I say it is the primary key for this table. I bring my comma, then I move on to the order date, the date that the particular item was ordered, and the data type I will give is the date data type. Now I will need a foreign key in this table so that I can have some communication between the customer and the order, because it is customers that are going to order items from the particular website we are going to connect this database to. So I'll say customer ID. Now anytime you are referencing the data and foreign key constraint, you need to make sure that the data type that was used at the parent table, should be used, the same data type should be used at the child table, else that constraint will not work. So the foreign key constraint goes like this. So foreign key, then which column is it referencing? So references customer, so the table name tbl underscore customer, and then I say not now, and I am good to go. Now I have to create this table before, else if I try to create this table, it will give me an error because we are referencing this table which is not in existence. So before I start, so let's try and see. So I do this and I execute it, and it will give me an error. So it says references invalid table, that is still your customer, meaning you cannot find the table that we are referencing. So anytime you are referencing it, make sure the parent table is first created. So I create this table, and you see it is successfully created, and then I go ahead and create my other table. So you see all the tables are now successfully created. So let's preview the tables to see if they are indeed created. So I'll copy and change the table name to order. So I execute it, and you see we have our table created for us successfully. Now let's go ahead and insert data into this table. Now we write our query insert. So let me comment this one. So insert into tbl underscore customer, insert into tbl customer, then we say values, then we open and close a bracket, then we put in the values. So we are going to the customer table, so we need to look at how the table is being designed, since we did not specify the columns before inserting them. So we just go ahead by saying, by quoting the values according to how it is being arranged. So the student ID is an integer, and therefore we need not to put them in bracket. So after specifying the first column, we bring comma, the customer name, let's say rider. So because it is an alphabet, we need to put them in single quotes. So alpha blondie. So I say comma, and the next column is the phone number. That one too is an integer, so I will not put them in quotes. And then the customer email, which is an alphanumeric. So let's say rider@gmail.com, rider23@gmail.com. Now this should probably give us an error. So let's run it and see. Okay, so it has run successfully, and it has gone because it is the order table which is going to give us an error if we insert data who does not correspond to this value here. So let's try that one and see. So insert into tbl underscore order line, then we come and say the values, we open and close our bracket, and then within the bracket we look at the order table, so the order ID should be 1, and then comma, the order date, let's say 05, so it should be in double single quotes, so 05 dash 12 dash 2003. And then after specifying that, the next column is the customer ID. So we are not going to code this customer ID, we are just going to code a different customer ID and see what will happen. So after that, I run it, I execute it, and it says the insert statement conflated with the foreign key constraint, that is the foreign key TBL order, and then the customer table. The conflict occurred in database SQL table TBL customer column. So the reason why it gives us that error is that now we've made a foreign key constraint that anytime we insert data here, that data must correspond to a customer's data here. That is why. So anytime we are inserting data, so it's probably telling us that if you are not a customer, you cannot order things. Your data cannot be captured in the order table. So we just quote the customer ID and we run it. So you see that it is successfully inserted. So this is how the foreign key constraint works. So now let's go ahead and review the data to see the relation between these two tables. So I go ahead and say select all from TBL underscore customer. So let me use the order first. Customer, and I execute it. So now you see we have the data that we inserted here, and this is a relation to them, and you can base on this to create a joint statement, that is retrieve data from the customer table and the order table. I've already made a video about that, so you can go, I'll leave the link on the description. You can go and check that video out. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe just to motivate me to do more videos. I love you all.